Hello, my name is Courtney Winn Hamilton. I am a first grade general ed teacher, and I also service my school district as a technology integration mentor. Today, we're going to look at technology and education with specific attention on challenges and barriers that may exist. In dealing with technology integration, one must first understand exactly what effective integration is. And so, effective teaching requires effective technology. We live in a world that is ever changing in regards to technology and technological developments. And with that in mind, we as educators must be mindful of the changes and able and adequately prepared to best service our students so that they are able to go out and become charitable citizens of society and our economy. So, technology integration actually is very different than technology use. Technology use is simply the mere use of a tool such as iPad, computer, laptop, etc. However, technology integration has a direct correlating link to the standards and student mastery of particular standards. Hamilton states that integration is when classroom teachers actually use technology to introduce, reinforce, extend, enrich, assess, and remediate student mastery of curricular targets. When you look at this definition, you understand that technology integration is an active component of the instructional process. ISTE has provided for us 14 critical elements needed in order for effective technology integration to take place. These 14 elements have been proven and evident in practices that have been considered best practices for technology integration. However, today we're only going to focus on two of the 14 critical elements that may be a challenge or barrier for educators in a K-12 classroom. The two barriers that we will look at today, the first is consistent and adequate funding. And as we delve into this particular barrier or challenge, we'll see that it has a link to equitable access. The second barrier that we will look at is ongoing professional development. And this particular component has a direct link to skilled personnel. When looking at consistent and adequate funding, ISTE states or defines that as ongoing funding that supports technology infrastructure, personnel, digital resources, and staff development. In order for funding to be considered consistent and adequate, it must encompass all of those components. Johnson shows us that on average, America spends roughly 36% of the budget allocated for 12 education on technology, which equates to approximately $400 per student. And while this seems like a lot, we know that there are constant changes with technology, thus there will always be a continual need for funding. The picture here depicts the need or the barriers that exist concerning technology education from an educator's perspective. And while we see the number of different barriers, the highest by far at 63% is that of cost. The cost associated with technology is often viewed upon as too high, given that the funding is so low. In an effort to address some of the funding needs, we've listed here four different areas in which educators or educational institutions can focus on making improvements to funding and technology, to include effective budgeting, sustainability, finding the right tools for the right jobs, and maximizing free software and resources. The second barrier that we're going to look at is that of ongoing professional development. 46% of K-12 teachers report that they lack the training needed to use technology effectively. 50% of K-12 teachers report not being adequately supported when using technology. And so you want to make sure that educators have access to ongoing and explicit technology-related professional learning opportunities. When we look at this particular graph, we see that educators have expressed having a desire to want to increase funding for professional development. Their desire is 20%. However, on this particular graph, funding for professional development is at a mere 8%. And so, if we expect teachers to use instructional technologies to their full potential, we must provide opportunities for them to engage in highly effective professional development opportunities, and then having the opportunity to actually implement and practice those applications in a real life setting.